We're so happy to have Anthony Wallersteiner, our Stowe headmaster here. This is a very brief introduction. I just want to say that American Friends of Stowe has now just passed its 10th anniversary. And when we founded the organization more than 10 years ago now, it was a real stretch. I mean, it was almost a joke. This was this public school in England where no Americans really were. Barely any Americans went there. Nobody had heard of it. And we said, it's nice to say you're an organization, but are there really? What's the minimum number of members to actually call it an organization? And we said, well, we'll get a board together. We said, well, who would actually want to be on a board of an organization that has no members? I said, no, the board will be the members, and then it'll be an organization. Well, anyway, fast forward, we are now over 350 people. Here we are in this beautiful racquet and tennis club with 60, 75 people here. So much support, so many new people each time we have an event. It is so rewarding, and I think what it speaks to is a faith in the fact that the special connection that Stowe has with Americans who have attended there, with Stoics who are British who have come here. There's so many different points of connection that are worth celebrating, and that's what tonight is about. I just want to very briefly thank our chairman of our social and events committee, Rod Morrison, who put an unbelievable amount of work into this evening. Very, I'd also like to thank Hugh Williamson Noble, who is always indispensable in getting us this wonderful space, and of course Mona Cavalcoli, who did all of the logistical work on this, all the nagging. And with that, I'm going to hastily turn this over to Dr. Anthony Wallersteiner.
Well, thank you very much for that introduction, Brian. And good evening, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here in New York for the final event to commemorate Stowe's 90th anniversary. So it was 90 years ago that J.F. Roxburgh, the great founding headmaster, welcomed the first 99 boys, so we were just boys in those days, to the North Front steps. We were a glorified prep school, and within a decade we became one of the first ranked public schools. And it was our great good fortune that our founding headmaster had a vision of education that was to establish Stowe as a humane and civilizing and liberal school, tapping into the philosophy of the Enlightenment that emanated from Stowe in the 18th century, and which inspired such distinguished visitors as John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, second and third presidents respectively, who visited together in April 1786. And this year, our 90th anniversary, we celebrated record exam results, we reached the top 10 of the national value-added scores, we kept our place as the best cricketing school in the country. That's the most important achievement, by the way. We came top of a survey organised by The Week magazine. It was for the most beautiful school in the country. I think that should be the most beautiful school in the world. And Old Stoics are among the top 10 men and women of influence, according to a survey by the Sutton Trust. And our celebrations climaxed with 2 days of partying in May. We began with a concert by Roger Hodgson, the founder of Supertramp, and we had a terrific concert. It was one of the best concerts that we've had at Stowe. And then speech day, the next day, which was, we had our guest of honour, Prince Michael of Kent, David Wynne, Roger Hodgson again, a modest flypast by the Battle of Britain Memorial flypast, a Spitfire, a Hurricane, and a Lancaster bomber, all flying over the South Front, banking and creating a really spectacular effect, which sent goosebumps down your spine. You can't have goosebumps down your spine, but shivers down the spine. Goosebumps. You get the drift.
It's the jet lag.
It's the jet lag. And we had the unveiling of 36 urns, a restored balustrade, and 2 Medici lions, which had just come back after a holiday that lasted 90 years. They went to Blackpool, they were sold in 1923 and 2013, they've been restored and they look absolutely magnificent. So if you come to Stowe, have a look at these wonderful restored lions. Now, Winston Churchill once said that headmasters have powers at their disposal with which prime ministers have never yet been invested. Now, Churchill has clearly not met my governors. I've got to be careful because one of them is here tonight, Lady Stringer. But the governors have been extremely supportive, and with the generosity and the help of many of you in this room, we have transformed Stowe. So the building, which is emerging phoenix-like from an asbestos pit, I kid you not, there was an asbestos pit here, is the music school. It's a fabulous building, 24 practice rooms. The architect, Nick Cox, has worked really hard to complement the surroundings of the landscape gardens. And after the music school, we finished the Roxburgh Hall, which will be returned to the school theatre, the home of the theatre. And next up is the science building. And we want to improve what is a hideous carbuncle on a much-loved friend. It's a relic from the 60s. I hope that nobody tries to preserve it as a great bit of 60s architecture. But that's the next project, to enlarge, to enhance it, and to make it the centre of the academic area. And we're also very grateful to the World Monument Fund, which of course is based in New York City, for supporting the recent phases of our restoration. The Marble Hall, the South Front, the library, and in future, the North Hall, and then the dining room. Now, doing the rounds recently, as I do on a Saturday afternoon, pretending to be really interested in the 4th 15 game of rugby, a third former who was new to the school bounded up to me and bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, freshly combed hair. You can tell that he was a third former, not a sixth former. And he said, "Sir, I hope you don't mind me asking, but we see you at chapel, and we see you taking parents around, and I know you're terribly busy, sir, but what exactly do you do?" And I have been pondering that question. What do I do? Well, one of the things I do get to do is I get to set out the aims and objectives of the school. Whether I enact them or embody them is for you to judge, but I get to set them out, which is good. And education is the soul of society as it passes from one generation to the next. And it's about much more than collecting grades like stamps. It's about much more than learning about the nature of electrons and valencies and equations or the correct use of the subjunctive. Not that any of you ever bothered to do any of that when you were at Stowe. There are far more diverting things to do. But education is about what's left when you've forgotten everything else. And it distills down to character and how well you have been prepared for adulthood. And it's a rejection of relativism. It's an understanding that there is a hierarchy of values, a clear distinction between right and wrong, good and bad. The end doesn't justify the means. Truth isn't flexible. People aren't disposable objects. The end, I've said that. Winning is not always the most important thing. And we have responsibilities that lie beyond the self. And I'm always amazed and humbled by the range of philanthropic work supported by Stoics and Old Stoics alike. And this year our charity is Children in Crisis, which helps some of the poorest and most disadvantaged children in places like Syria, Afghanistan, Liberia and Sierra Leone. And schools should be independent of political ideology, over-centralised educational bureaucracy, and exam boards which squeeze the joy out of learning. And inspiring teaching is not possible if you remain on the tram lines. And so teachers should be allowed to take detours. They should find different ways of completing the journey. They should be allowed to go freestyle, not just sticking to the piece. And John Adams puts it nicely when writing about government. He said, in my many years, I've come to a conclusion that one useless man is a shame. 2 is a law firm. And sorry to the lawyers. And 3 or more is a congress. I thought that was the right path. And I know how much you like government here, so I thought I'd include that. But we should celebrate the best teachers. Education is not just the filling of the pail, it's the lighting of the fire. And few things in life are more rewarding than seeing someone's curiosity grow, learning discernment, discretion, judgment through literature, history, classics, languages, and science. And good teachers instill habits that last a lifetime. As intelligence and ability are not fixed, the brain constantly makes new connections through experience and relationships, bringing new growth and development. And our pupils should be exposed to a range of experiences, learning skills in sport, music, and drama, and being allowed to fail, learning from their mistakes, taking risks, and having some time away from adults, climbing trees, building dens, and enjoying the freedom and fun of being young. So education is really all about life itself. Learning to live life to the full, with teachers acting as facilitators, unlocking potential. And only those with a can do, and will do mindset can make good teachers. And these are the values of Stowe in 1923, and I think they're still the values of Stowe in 2013. Now it gives me enormous pleasure to introduce the American Worthies Award, and it's really one of the reasons we're gathered tonight. There have been many connections over the years, centuries even, between America and Stowe. Some auspicious, some not so auspicious. So I'm sorry about George Grenville's Stamp Act, but you know, someone had to pay for those troops to keep order in the colonies. I guess you Americans just don't like paying your taxes. But nowhere are these historic ties more evident than in Stowe's Temple of British Worthies, built in 1734 to celebrate the achievements of Newton, Locke, Shakespeare, Alfred the Great, John Hampden. 3 of the Worthies, Elizabeth I, Raleigh, and Drake, had a direct bearing on establishing Roanoke Island, the first English colony in America. And tonight, we recognise the commitment and work of a very worthy American who exemplifies the virtues that we like to see in old Stoics: courage, tenacity, individuality, generosity, humour, warmth, and above all, immense humanity and compassion. Peter Sichel was born in 1922 in Mainz, Germany, to a family which had been in the wine business since the early 19th century. Peter started his education in Germany, but due to mounting persecution of the Jews, his parents sent him to England to continue his studies. He attended St. Cyprian's in Eastbourne and then Stowe. And I have a letter written by Peter's father, Eugen Sichel, to J.F. Roxburgh in January 1936, inquiring about a place at Stowe for Peter. The political climate of the day is starkly illuminated by the line, "I should feel greatly obliged if you would kindly let me know whether the fact that we are German and Jews would be an impediment for the admission to your school." It wasn't. And Peter, a bright boy, secured a place at Stowe in 1937, while his family escaped Nazi persecution in Germany by moving to Bordeaux in May 1938. And Peter had a successful career at Stowe, and the warmth between Peter and his headmaster is shown in the many letters that we've got in his file. He was set to return to Stowe for one final term when war intervened in September 1939, and he then stayed in France to be with his family during this extremely difficult time. When France fell, Peter was interned. He miraculously escaped to America via Spain. And during the war, he joined the Office of Strategic Services, OSS, running agents into Germany. After the war, he served as chief of the CIA in Berlin, Washington, and finally in Hong Kong. In In the early 1960s, he left government service to return to the family wine business. Peter created the Blue Nun wine brand, which became one of the largest selling international wines. He's been awarded the Distinguished Intelligence Medal by the CIA, the Order of Merit First Class by the German government, and the Mérite Agricole by the French government. Peter has been a tireless supporter of the American Friends of Stowe, and as a trustee of the World Monuments Fund, he was instrumental in getting major support for Stowe. So on behalf of the American Friends of Stowe, and all those who care about the school, the house and the grounds, it is my very great honour to bestow this inaugural American Worthies Award on Peter Sichel.
Actually, the school wanted to honor two people. A man by the name of Bob Wilson was given enormous amounts of money to Stowe because he fell in love with the building and the park and what it stood for. And unfortunately, Bob said, "I don't do awards." For a while I thought I should do the same thing because I'm a close friend of Bob's. I felt he was more entitled than I was. But then I said they've got to get rid of the first one. So they can go from there to other worthies which are maybe not as old and are worthier. All I want to say is I came as a very grubby little German boy to Stowe. And before I was admitted, J.F. Roxburgh, who was then the headmaster, a most amazing man, asked me to visit him to see if I would fit into the school. At that time I had one of these German short haircuts. I was also short German haircut, and I was washed up and put into a clean suit and a shirt, etc., by a cousin of mine who lived in England. He took me up there, and he sort of put me in the office, and J.F. looked me up and down, and we had a very short conversation. Then he said, "You'll do under two circumstances. Number one, your name, which you call yourself Sichel, from now on will be Sichel. So nobody's going to make fun of your name. Number two, you're going to have your hair grow and have a party like everybody else." And we as boys, and at that time we were 600 boys at Stowe, all personally felt that Roxburgh looked after us individually more than any of the others. He was an extraordinary educator, and we learned, as you actually know, the only thing you learn in school is to think for yourself. And we learned to think for ourselves, and it was a very important part of the world history that we should learn it. It was for me the greatest experience of my life. I was happy throughout my time there. I was sorry I could not go back because the French decided that I should be interned rather than go back to England. The British renewed my visa. When I left Germany in 1935, my father had a talk with me, a grown-up talk. And he said, "Peter, you're German and you're Jewish. And nobody in the world either likes Germans or Jews." And I did not believe it. Well, we all learn. All I can say, Anthony, thank you very much. I feel unworthy of it, but I'm glad to have it nevertheless. And I wish you and the school onward and upward. Thank you very much.
To stay, enjoy a few more drinks in the company, and thank you for coming. We'll look forward to seeing you at our next event as well. Thank you.